my eyes to see my purpose, my destiny. Have your way in me. Have your way in me. Y'all say, have your way in me. From every sin. My destiny. My purpose, my destiny. Have your way in me. Have your way in me. Have your way in me. From every sin, set free. In you I am complete. Have your way, Lord, in me. Oh, have your way in me. Have your way in me. Open my eyes, oh Lord, I wanna see my purpose, my destiny. Have your way, Lord, have your way in me. Yeah, Lord, have your way, Lord, in me, Lord. Have your way, oh Lord, every sin. Hallelujah. Oh, set me free, Lord. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus. Why do you abuse me? It's what she said to her husband. Why do you abuse me? Give me everything but love and now I know it's supposed to be for better or worse. Problem is, you chose to go on first. You abuse me.
All right, everyone. Samori Benjamin here at WHCR 90.3 FM. This is Whcr Sports. Thank you for tuning in again today. All right, and the previous show, my brother has everyone grooving in the morning right before I come on, so I appreciate that. He was in the spot an hour or two after me, and then he has now taken over the 7 to 11 spot. And shout out to Dalton Anderson, who had that spot before. Two really outstanding shows, so it's great to have the lead-in into my show. I have a great audience who listens to both of those shows that precedes me, and I just hope to keep you all interested in what I have to say. And there's always a lot of interesting news going on in the sports world, especially here in New York City. And right now, it's the baseball season, and the Mets and the Yankees both, they are right in the thick of the baseball season. The All-Star break has passed, and if the season were to end today, both the Mets and the Yankees would be in the playoffs. And that is something that we have not said a whole lot over the Mets' existence. The Mets came into existence in 1962. That was their first season. And there's been less than 10 seasons that the Mets and Yankees have been in the playoffs the same season. The Mets really have barely been in the playoffs 10 times in their history. All right, so, but last season, of course, both teams were not only in the playoffs, but went deep into the playoffs. Mets lost in the Final Four, semifinal, National League Championship Series, lost to the LA Dodgers, and then the Yankees got to the World Series and faced the Dodgers in the World Series, and the Dodgers beat the Yankees in the World Series to win a championship. New York's old New York's old team, former team, the Dodgers, Brooklyn's former team. And now the Mets and Yankees are making a bid to both be in the playoffs again this year. And before last season, okay, how many times had the Mets and Yankees been in the playoffs in the same season? They were both in the playoffs in 2022 when the Mets lost a first-round series to the San Diego Padres, a wild-card series where they had 3 games at home in Citi Field in their ballpark, and they lost the series. 1-1, lost 2. Very disappointing for the Mets and their fans. 2022, the Yankees went to the American League Championship Series, the Final Four, the semifinal. They lost to, who else? A team that had beaten them every time in the playoffs, the Houston Astros, who went on to win the World Series. And shout out to their manager, Dusty Baker. He is someone who has always treated me well, so it was really good to see after, the Yankees were out of it. It was really good to see Dusty go ahead and win his first World Series as a manager. And Dusty had been managing in Major League Baseball for a very long time. So that was great. After the Yankees, we suffered heartbreak. But if anyone was going to win, if not the Yankees, then Dusty Baker, who actually was born on the same exact day, same day, same year as my mother. Shout out to my mom, June Benjamin. Love you. Now, after 2022, last season, what other years were the Mets and Yankees in the playoffs in the same year? 2015, the Yankees made the wild card that year. And that year, the wild card was a one game play-in, you lose, you're out. The Yankees, who did they play that year? In their one-game playoff game, and it was at home, too. The Houston Astros. That was the first time the Yankees faced the Astros in the playoffs. 2015, they lost to them at home in a very low-scoring ball game. And that was very disappointing, of course. The Mets in 2015, in the first round, they faced the LA Dodgers. They beat the LA Dodgers in 5 games, a great series where the series was a best-of-5 game series. The Mets and Dodgers, the series went to the max 5 games. Jacob deGrom, young Jacob deGrom, who turned out to be one of the best pitchers of his era, and still even this season, 10 years later. Because we're talking about 2015, Game 5 against the Dodgers. deGrom was outstanding, got the Mets that win on the road in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. 10 years later now, Jacob deGrom is, after even having Tommy John surgery, serious surgery, a couple of years ago, he's now back. And he's one of the best pitchers in baseball right now, doing it for the Texas Rangers. Yes. Very interesting. And Texas Rangers, very interesting team. But, so in 2015, in the first round, the Mets beat the Dodgers. Then they go on to face the Chicago Cubs in the National League Championship Series. They beat the Cubs. They sweep the Cubs. The Mets sweep the Cubs that year. And they move on to the World Series. So 2015, Mets win the World Series. And the point is, that was one of the seasons where the Mets and Yankees both made the playoffs. And the Yankees and the Mets that year actually went to the World Series. So then, so that's 3 years and that the Yankees and the Mets both made the playoffs. And then after that, after 2015, 2006 was the next time between 2015. Before 2015, the only time the Mets had been in the playoffs before that was 2006. 2006, the Yankees were also in the playoffs. The Yankees, since 1995, have been in the playoffs every year except for 5 years. So the Mets decided to join the dance that year. So 2006, the Mets made the playoffs. That was a fourth time that the Mets and Yankees both were in the playoffs. After 2006, the next time the Mets before that were in the playoffs was 2000. That, of course, when the Mets and Yankees faced each other in the World Series, the Subway Series. So that was the 5th time that the Mets and Yankees were both in the playoffs. And, of course, in 2000 in the Subway Series, folks, you all who were living in New York in 2000, you don't even need me to tell you who won the World Series in 2000, the Subway Series. With the Subway Series, all right? You all do not even need me to tell you who won that series, right? So that's what? That's 5 times that the Mets and Yankees made the playoffs in the same year. The year before that, 1999, that was another year where the Mets and Yankees were both in the playoffs the same year. And, folks, that was the only other year. That was all right? 99 was the first year that the Mets and Yankees were in the playoffs together. 6 years. That's it. And like I said, the Yankees have been in the playoffs every year since 95, except for 5 years, okay? So, and the Mets have only made the playoffs about 10 times in their existence, folks. Okay, so the times that the Mets have made the playoffs, the years, right? Let's see. The Mets made the playoffs in 1969. That's once. 1973, the Mets made the World Series again and lost to the Oakland Athletics. So that was the second time the Mets were in the playoffs in their existence. The next time the Mets would be in the playoffs after 1973 would be 1986 when they also made the World Series. And they won the World Series against the Boston Red Sox, 7-game series. That was the last time the Mets won the World Series. So that was the third time in their existence, the Mets, that they were in the playoffs. And it was a lot harder to make the playoffs at that time, back in the day, as you say, because there were less teams who made the playoffs. Up until 1995, through 1993, all right? Through 1993, the only way a team in baseball could make the playoffs, only four teams in the entire Major League Baseball made the playoffs. 4. So it was extremely hard to just make the playoffs. Now you have more than double that amount of teams make the playoffs, so it's a lot easier to, all right, you have more of an opportunity to be in the playoffs. But and the Yankees went from 1981 through 1995 without being in the playoffs. So they were in the World Series in 81, and they did not make the playoffs again until 95. And a big reason why is because it was hard to make the playoffs. Only 4 teams per the whole Major League Baseball made the playoffs. But yeah, so the Yankees from 81 through 95, and that was my childhood. Okay, so as a kid growing up, the first time I saw the Yankees in the playoffs was 95. But and since 95, all right, I saw a lot of losing baseball before 95, but since 95, they've only missed the playoffs, again, 5 times. Now, the Mets, okay, 86, a third time in the playoffs. So that's it. And then they don't make the playoffs again. Well, they make the playoffs again in 88, the Mets do. They play the LA Dodgers in the National League Championship Series, and they lose to the Dodgers. The Mets had a great season that year. The Mets beat the Dodgers something like 9 out of 10 times that season, something huge like that, or 10 out of 11 times, something like that, during a regular season. And then they end up losing to the Dodgers in the National League Championship Series. That was a devastating, heartbreaking loss for Mets fans and for the Mets players, of course. And so that was the 4th time that the Mets were in the playoffs. And then the Mets did not make the playoffs again until 1999. And like I said, that was the first time the Mets and Yankees both made the playoffs in the same year. So that was the 5th time the Mets were in the playoffs. Next year, 2000, Mets and Yankees Subway Series. So that's a 6th time that the Mets were in the playoffs. They don't make the playoffs again until 2006, a 7th time. That was when they made the National League Championship Series, the Final Four, the round before the World Series. That was an outstanding Mets team. I'm a Yankee fan. I grew up a Yankee fan, but that Mets team was fun to watch. My favorite player during the time that he was playing was Mets shortstop Jose Reyes. And Jose Reyes, yes, on that Mets team, outstanding. I thought he should have won the National League Most Valuable Player that year. And then, so that was the 7th time the Mets were in the playoffs. The Mets did not make the playoffs again, all right, after that, where, again, a year where they should have been in the World Series. They very easily could have won the World Series that year in 2006, all right? But they losing 7 games, National League Championship Series. Then they don't make the playoffs again until 2015, 9 years later. They get to the World Series. They lose in the World Series. That's 10 years ago. They lose to Kansas City, so that's what, an 8th time? The Mets were in the playoffs with 8 times, all right? 2015. The Mets started in 1962. So by 2015, the Mets have only been in the playoffs 8 times in their existence, okay? And then after 2015, the Mets don't make the playoffs again until, 2022. So that's 9 times in the playoffs in their existence. 2022, and then, of course, 2023, have a horrible season. They fire their manager. Then last season, 2024, they make the playoffs. So, yes, that's 10 times in their existence the Mets have made the playoffs, okay? The Yankees, since 1995, I made the playoffs like 25 times, okay? So that just tells you, all right, about these two organizations, okay? Folks, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about where the Yankees are right now because they have really struggled, okay? But like I said, if the playoffs started today, they would be in the playoffs. The Mets would as well. The Yankees are facing the Philadelphia Phillies right now, who are the Mets' big division rival. Philly and the Mets, they have battled a lot the last several years, and they are battling right now at the top of the first place, top of the division in their National League East division. Of course, the Mets knocked the Phillies out of the playoff last year. And they are facing the Yankees right now. The Philadelphia Phillies are in the Bronx, and the Yankees are on the verge of getting swept in the series. And this series, of course, Yankees-Philadelphia, a rematch, if you will. Not a real rematch. A rematch in terms of organizations of the 2009 World Series. Yankees-Phillies. The last time the Yankees won the World Series, I had the fortune of being there, covering it and all that. Still, my number one moment covering sports. The Yankees did not make the World Series again until last year against the LA Dodgers, where they lost. We are going to come back and talk about, the Yankees, though they are struggling right now, but like I said, they would be in the playoffs if the season began today, but they have their issues. The Mets have a little winning streak going on there on the West Coast, so we'll talk about both of those teams, and we're back.
The anticipation arose as time froze. I stared off the stage with my eyes closed and dove into the deep cosmos. The impact pushed back the first 5 rows. But before the raw live shows, I remember eyes a little snot nose, rocking gazelle, goggles and eyes I closed. Learning the ropes of ghetto survival. Peeping out the situation, I had to slide through. Had to watch my back, my front, plus my size too. When it came to getting mine, I ain't trying to argue. Sometimes I wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for you. Hip hop, you the love of my life, and that's true. When I was handling this I had to do, it was all for you. From the door for you. Speaking through you, getting paper on tour for you. From the start, thought was down by law for you. Used to hit up every corner store war for you. We ripped this and kept it hardcore for you. I remember late night, steady rocking the mic. Hip hop, you the love of my life. So tell the people like that, yo. And it sounds so. Hip hop, you the love of my life. We about to take it to the top.
I was speaking to my guy Regan. I see was desperately seeking to organize enough confusion, using no protection, told on resurrection. Called it a Hype Williams and lost her direction. Getting 8 in sections where I wouldn't eat her. Under the counter love, so silently I treat her. Her daddy a beater, eyes off her. In the mix on tape, singing had her in the buck. When we touch, it was more than just the police in her. I found peace, like Malcolm in the East. Seen her on the streets of New York, tripping went off, tried to make a hit with her, but my went soft. Moving weight, losing weight, not picky with who she choose today. Too confused to hate. With a struggle, I relate close to 30. Most of the chickens she know is dirty, having more babies than Lauren. She started showing early. As of late, I realized that this is a fate or destiny to bring the best to me. It's like God is testing me. In retrospect, I see she brought life and death to me. Peace to us collectively. Live and direct when we perform, it's just coffee shop chicks and white dudes. Over her, I got into it with that again Ice Cube. Not a fight, move to in life, making the right moves. Besides God and family, you my life's jewel. Like that, y'all. Like that, like that, like that. Hip hop, 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 hip hop.
Next to the narrow, but I'll be hood forever. I'm the new Sinatra, and since I made it here, I can make it anywhere. Yeah, they love me everywhere. I used to cop in Harlem, all of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. Pulled me back to that McDonald's, took it to my stash spot, 560 State Street. Catch me in the kitchen like a Simmons whipping pastry. Cruising down A Street, off-white Lexus, driving so slow, but BK is from Texas. Me, I'm out that Bed-Stuy, home of that boy Biggie. Now I live on Billboard, and I brought my boys with me. Say what up to Tata, still sipping my top. Sitting courtside, Knicks and Nets give me high five. I be spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I'm most definitely from. With OG at a Yankee game. I made the Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee can. You should know I bleed blue, but I ain't a crypto. But I got a gang of walking with my click though. Welcome to the melting pot. Corners will be selling Africa been by the home of the hip hop. Yellow cap, gypsy cap, dollar cap, holla back. For foreigners it ain't fair, they act like they forgot how to act. 8 million stories out there in the naked city. It's a pity half of y'all won't make it. Me, I got a plug special ed, I got it made. If Jesus paying LeBron, I'm paying Dwayne Wade. 3 dice CeeLo, 3 card Marley. Labor Day parade, rest in peace Bob Marley. Statue of Liberty, long live the World Trade, long live the King, yo. I'm from the Empire State. That's welcome to the bright light, baby. blinders so they could step out of bounds quick. The sidelines is lined with casualties who sip the life casually, then gradually become worse. Don't fight the apple eve, caught up in the in crowd. Now you're in style, and in the winter gets cold. In vogue with your skin out. City of sin, it's a pity on a whim. Good girls going bad, the city's filled with them. Mommy took a bus trip, now she got a bust out. Everybody ride her, just like a bus route. Hail Mary to the city, you're a virgin. And Jesus can't save you, life starts when the church ends. Came here for school, graduated to the highlight. Ball players, rap stars, addicted to the limelight. Empty in May, got you feeling like a champion. The city never sleeps, better slip you an ambient.
A real Etsy buyer review for handmade home decor by a real Etsy seller.
All right, folks. Samori Benjamin back here, and we are going to get into it. And the sports world today, one of the big things that is going on is the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame. And we have a Yankee who is going in, and we're going to get to that right now. All right, everybody. Samori Benjamin back here with you all. And as I was saying a minute ago, the Yankees are having their issues right now. But the positive news is that if the playoffs began today, they would be in the playoffs, but they would be in there as a wild card, not exactly what you want, but they would have a fighting chance, and there's a lot of baseball to be left. That's the thing. There are a lot of Yankee fans right now who are giving up on the team, do not believe in the team, and they were 7 games atop first place about 6-7 weeks ago, and right now you look at the standings, and the Toronto Blue Jays in the Yankees division are 63-42. The Toronto Blue Jays, the last time I feel like the Yankees were looking up at them in the standings like that, well, maybe 2016, I guess, 2014, when Toronto had Jose Bautista, but the only time really for me where Toronto has really been a dominant factor over the Yankees was when I was a kid, when Toronto won their only 2 World Series in 92 and 93. But Toronto's a team you look at and you don't even take them, I don't want to say don't take them seriously, but they're not a team that scares you by any means. But they are 6 games ahead of the Yankees in the loss column, 6.5 officially. The Yankees really have done a lot of damage to themselves by losing to Toronto over the last 3.5 weeks or so. The Yankees have faced Toronto 7 times, all in Toronto, and lost 6 of the 7 games. So that's your difference right there. The Yankees are 6 games behind Toronto in the loss column. They lost 6 of 7 against Toronto over the last 3 weeks. Toronto is a team, unlike a lot of teams in today's game, they don't strike out a lot, so you give them a lot of credit for that. They put the bat on the ball, they make contact, even when they're making outs. They make the defense field the ball, they put pressure on the defense. They don't just swing and miss and walk back to the dugout for an out, which puts no pressure on the defense to possibly make a mistake. Now, the wild card standings, 3 teams in each league make the wild card. The Yankees right now have the best record they are the leading wild card team. So of the 3 wild card teams right now, if the season ended today, the Yankees would be a wild card team. Seattle Mariners would be a wild card team. The Boston Red Sox would be a wild card team. The Yankees record right now, you look at those 3 wildcard teams, the Yankees record is 56-48, Seattle is 56-49, and the Boston Red Sox are 56-50. And right below that, the teams who are right behind those 3 to take those wildcard spots, the Texas Rangers, they are 55-50. The Tampa Bay Rays, who are also in the Yankees division, who the Yankees begin, needless to say, all right, a huge 4-game series against beginning tomorrow in the Bronx, all right? So if the Yankees don't get it together, they could find themselves getting buried in the wild card standings. And because right now in the Bronx, we have a rematch in terms of the organizations, the teams are completely different now, but a rematch of the 2009 World Series where the Yankees and Phillies faced off. And I just said a minute ago, that was the best moment of my sports journalism, all right, covering sports and all that. Still, the Yankees won that World Series. That was the last World Series they won, and they had not been back to the World Series since until last year where they lost to the Dodgers. Game 5 of that series still the worst game I've ever been to in my life. It was painful. And so now the Yankees come back this season trying to make it back to the World Series. And they began the season off playing very well. Like I said, had a 7-game lead to top first place. But over the last 5-6 weeks, they've really struggled. And we heard yesterday there was a big Aaron Judge injury scare, because he was removed from the lineup yesterday before their day game, 1 o'clock, against the Philadelphia Phillies, who have beat them down the first 2 games of a 3-game series here in the Bronx over the weekend. And the Yankees, I say Philly beat them down. The Yankees were up 2-0 until the 6th inning of the game the other night. All right, it was a tough fought game. Yankees got good pitching from young Will Warren in that game on Friday night. Had a 2-0 lead, and then Kyle Schwarber, one of the greats. He has it. All right, Kyle Schwarber, he comes up, hits a 2-run home run for Philadelphia to tie the game. The Yankees end up getting the lead. All right, so they get a home run from Giancarlo Stanton, and then the game is 3-2. And then the Yankees make an error. Paul Goldschmidt at first base, all right, in the 7th inning, he makes the error on a ball that's hit to him, and it was a drawn-in infield, so he gets the ball, a ground ball hit to him. The runner at third base got a great jump, and he would have been safe. It would have taken a perfect throw to get the runner coming home. Even a perfect throw might not have got him. But in a situation like that, tight, pressure-packed situation, all eyes on you, Yankees trying to win, tough ground ball hit to you, infield in. So the point of having an infield in is to get the ball quick and throw it home to try and get the guy out at home. And so Paul Goldschmidt fielded the ball, threw it home, threw the ball away, threw it high. A run scores. Then next batter, Phillies catcher, JT Realmuto, boom! Hits the ball deep over the left field wall, left center field, 3-run home run, game. And then it got ugly after that. The final score was like 12-5, something like that. The score looked far worse than what actually went on in that game. But once the Yankees gave it up like that, gave the lead up, made an error in the 7th inning, errors have cost them a lot over these last few weeks. And it seems like every time they make an error, they end up paying for it immediately. The other team capitalized off of it. And just like yesterday, Jazz Chisholm makes the error, all right, a double play, ground ball hit right to him, makes the error, next batter, boom, home run. Oh, all right. So the Yankees against Philadelphia here. Yesterday, Philadelphia, they ended up, all right, smoking them again after the Yankees just fell apart on Friday night with the lead and then giving it up. And then Bryce Harper, who was also in Philadelphia, he's another guy, another great player, 2-time MVP in the National League for 2 different teams, one with Washington. Then he left Washington and went to Philadelphia, won another MVP in Philadelphia. Bryce Harper, one of the young phenoms when he came into the league. He's 33 now, but he came into the league when he was like 19, I think. Came into the league at 19, and before that in high school, he was talked about and written about and on TV. This is before social media was crazy, where now a lot of young athletes you can see on social media and all that. But when Bryce, late 2000s, before social media was really buzzing and there was access, it seemed like, to all the young phenoms. But now, since social media, I don't know. But Bryce Harper was like the baseball LeBron in a way, with the way he was the spotlight was put on him young in high school, and he was just that dominant in high school at a young age. He was on the fast track, and he's lived up to it. He has not won a World Series yet, but the Philadelphia Phillies are a contender to do that. They made the World Series in 2002, where they lost to the Houston Astros. That was Dusty Baker's first and only World Series win as a manager. Philadelphia, last year, they had the best record in their division, National League East, in which they share with the Mets. The Mets were the wild card last year. The Mets barely made it in last year. It took them to the last game of the regular season, and just a thrilling final game of the regular season day against the Atlanta Braves on a Monday. Mets clinched the playoffs, the wild card in dramatic fashion. Played a 3-game series against Milwaukee. We're about to lose. Pete Alonso comes up, boom, hits a huge home run for him to win that series for the Mets. They go on to face the Philadelphia Phillies in the National League Division Series. Phillies, again, won the division last year. Philly had the home field, first two in their ballpark. The Mets, all right, Philly fell last year to the Mets. They were supposed to win. When you're the favorite, as Philadelphia was, they're supposed to win. They lost. So I mentioned how they lost in the 2002 World Series to Houston. In between that, 2023, Philadelphia won the National League Championship Series a year after losing in the World Series. And they are facing the Arizona Diamondbacks. Philly had a really good season in 2023. They had the home field against Arizona in the National League Championship Series. They went up, 2-0? And then Arizona ended up winning 2 in Arizona. And then Philly, won Game 5. And no one gave Arizona a chance to win that series. Everyone had Philadelphia written in pen to go back to the World Series in 2023. And then up 3-2 going home. And all you heard was how all the media talking about how tough it is to play in Philadelphia. And at that time, that's all you heard any media sports pundit saying. Oh, Citizens Bank Park where the Phillies play, that's the toughest place to play in baseball. So up 3-2, Philly goes home, needing one win to clinch a World Series berth, right? Philadelphia is close to New York, so with the Yankees out of it, of course, the Mets, all right, 2023, neither one of them in the playoffs. If the Phillies do make the World Series, I'll cover a game or two of the World Series in Philadelphia. So I'm thinking I'll cover a World Series game or two in Philadelphia. Up 3-2, Phillies are in the National League Championship Series. Arizona goes into Philadelphia. They win Game 6 to force a Game 7 in Philadelphia, and Arizona wins Game 7 as well. So that was a horrible, horrible job by the Phillies in 2023. Their fans heartbroken, and then last year losing to the Mets after winning the division. And when the Mets beat the Phillies at that point, that was the first time the Mets had clinched a playoff series at Citi Field since Citi Field opened up, which had opened up in 2009. So the Phillies now, 2025, they and the Mets are on a collision course again, all right? And they're battling neck and neck. The Mets are, a half game ahead of Philadelphia up for first place in the National League Division standing. National League East Division standing. And the Yankees right now, like I said, they have had a free fall over the last few weeks. The Mets were having their issues too. They had one stretch where they had won 10 games over 30 games. But They have about a 5-game win streak now. They're on the West Coast. They're in San Francisco. And the Yankees, they are trying to not get swept this afternoon, playing in the Bronx against the Phillies, who would love nothing more than to sweep the Yankees right now and add to their problems. Now, I said a minute ago, Tampa Bay is coming in here next, and it's a 4-game series. Tampa Bay is right on their heels. The Texas Rangers are right on their heels. Texas Rangers, who won the World Series 2 years ago in 2023, they beat Arizona after Arizona beat Philadelphia in the National League Championship Series, and the Yankees will see the Texas Rangers coming up pretty soon, a week from this week coming up, all right? So, and that will be in Texas, that series. And as I said, there was an injury scare with Aaron Judge yesterday. The word was that he felt pain and was having trouble throwing the ball, and there was some pain in his elbow or what have you. So he had to go for some imaging. And there were a lot of people worried that he was going to need Tommy John surgery. And Tommy John surgery would have probably meant the end of his season. Might have been the end of his season for next year. If Aaron Judge if word came down yesterday afternoon that Aaron Judge was going to have elbow surgery, Tommy John surgery, and that he would not be able to play for the rest of the season, the Yankee universe would be burning, all right? But fortunately for the Yanks, the diagnosis was a strained flexor muscle. So he will be put on the injury list, and he will not play for 10 days. And Yankee manager Aaron Boone said after that he should be reactivated, and he will be put in the lineup at first at designated hitter, and they will work him back into the outfield and all that. And the Yankees right now, folks, they are a team, though, that I gotta say, you know, I do believe in them still, okay? I do believe in them still. And there are a lot of people who I see that every day, my gym, for instance, who they are dogging the Yankees, and they act like they're giving up on the Yankees. They're like, oh, the Yankees suck, and they're Yankee fans. But look, I feel like if you're a Yankee fan, the Yankees have given you enough over the last 30 years for you at least to just have some faith at the moment that they can pull things together. And right now, we're going to see, because they're about to go through it in terms of teams. Like I said, one more against Philly today in the Bronx. They don't want to get swept. And then they have a 4-game against Tampa Bay. But I look at, first of all, like I said, since 1995, look, the Yankees have only made the playoffs 5 times. 2008, 2013, 2014, 2015, and then 2023. So no other team in professional sports that I know of, no other professional team in this country, period, has missed the playoffs fewer times than the Yankees since 95. All right? Them making the playoffs missing the playoffs just 5 times since '95. That's incredible, and I feel like they don't get enough credit for that. I feel like they don't get enough credit for since the 1993 season not having one season where they lost more games than they won. I feel like they don't get nearly as much credit as they should for that. So right now, if the playoffs begin today and the Yankees would be in the playoffs, I just feel like if you're a Yankee fan, you got to still have some faith in this team, because you look at the roster. I like the roster. I say it over and over again. I like the Yankees roster, but they've got to get it together. The pressure is on now, and you got to give for the Yankees to have had so much success that I just mentioned in this town. It's hard to believe. It's harder to make the playoffs in baseball than in any other sport, because less teams make the playoffs in baseball than in all these other sports. But you look at the team, okay? One guy who I'm going to mention right now, somebody who a lot of folks want to run out of town constantly, but I say he is my favorite Yankee. He is a former MVP. Giancarlo Stanton. He was out most of the year because of injury. I know a lot of Yankee fans want to say what else is new, because he has had a lot of injuries over his Yankee tenure. Every season he has been on the injured list, except for the first season that he was with the Yankees. I believe his first season he played 158 of 162 games, I believe. So the first season was the only season, 2018, in which Giancarlo Stanton was not put on the disabled list, the injured list, which is kind of hard to believe, because every season after that he's been on the injured list, all right? But when he's out there, he's a force. He's someone who has a legitimate chance to make the Hall of Fame, and he is someone who, since he has come back to the Yankees this season, after spending the first 2 months plus, April, May, he spent, close to the first 3 months on the injured list. Giancarlo Stanton did. And, but he is hitting really well right now. He has his highest batting average that he's had in years. He's batting .277 after yesterday. He's homered in the last 2 games. He's homered a lot recently. He's got 7 right now since he's been back. Most of them have been recent. And he is somebody who, Aaron Judge is going to be out for a few days. And Giancarlo Stanton is someone who they said yesterday is going to have to take a glove and go out on the field some of the time, because when Aaron Judge comes back, they are going to put Aaron Judge at designated hitter some until his elbow gets right and he gets back in the outfield. Now, something very interesting, folks, okay? And the Hall of Fame is today. CC Sabathia is going into the Hall of Fame, the former Yankee, the Yankee ace, black ace, and Sabathia was a member of the Yankees' last World Series winning team in 2009. So shout out to Sabathia. Dick Allen is also going to the Hall of Fame. Dave Parker, both of them left us recently. Dave Parker passed away about in the last month or so. Pittsburgh Pirate great, also played for Cincinnati, where he's from. Played for the Oakland Athletics, played for the Milwaukee Brewers, played for the Angels, I believe, as well. Yeah, with Dave Winfield. And Billy Wagner is also going to the Hall of Fame. Former Mets closer for a couple of years. Was the Mets closer on maybe the best Mets team that I've really been able to see in my lifetime. I was too young for the 86 Mets team. I was very young, so I wasn't really watching. I'm not a Mets fan, so I wasn't watching the Mets hardcore anyway in 86 as a young kid. 2006 Mets, by that time I'm watching everybody. 2006 Mets, that was the best Mets team I think that I've seen. This team, 2025, they have a chance to top that, but we'll see. But the 2006 Mets, they were, yes, an incredible team and one of the best teams that never won a World Series. So Billy Wagner was the closer of that Mets team that lost in 7 games in the National League Championship Series, 1 game away from a World Series. They lost to the St. Louis Cardinals, who they had about 13 or 14 more wins than in the regular season. Might have even been, I think it was even more than that, okay? Now, so those 4 guys in the Hall of Fame, Billy Wagner, Dave Parker, Dick Allen, and C.C. Sabathia. Hopefully, one day, sooner than later, I'll be able to see C.C. out in the field and get my first interview on video with him. I've interviewed him, had the fortune of being able to talk to him several times over the years when he was playing with the Yankees, and I was fortunate enough to be able to cover the team. And around these guys and C.C. Sabathia, us being around the same age, you know, not being a lot of brothers are able to do this stuff, able to be around these guys, able to have access to do this and do stories and cover them. He definitely noticed me, obviously, and like I said last week when I was talking about it, every time I see him, wherever, there's always love. And it's the All-Star festivities that take place every summer. Sabathia, he and Curtis Granderson, another former Yankee and a former Met, Curtis Granderson is. He played 4 years for the Mets. He played 4 years for the Yankees from 2010 through 2010 through 2013. Curtis Granderson played for the Yankees. And then from 2004 through 2017, Curtis Granderson played for the Mets. 4 seasons for both. And Sabathia, Granderson, and another black American pitcher, Edwin Jackson, another guy who retired recently, they formed a organization called the Players Alliance, and they really tried to promote Afro-Americans in baseball and try and just get the word out about the achievements of Afro-American players, because we know that the African-American participation is dying and it's not what it once was. And also they're trying to get more Afro-Americans excited about baseball and playing baseball. So every All-Star year, every All-Star festivities, All-Star week, they have a party, an event, a party, and yes, an event where they highlight several Afro-American players, most of the time who played for the team where the All-Star game is being held, and former players of that said team. So 2 years, last year it was in Texas, and there was some Afro-American players who the Player Alliance acknowledged and honored at their event. And this year there was some as well, of course, and the Braves have had a lot of outstanding Afro-American players. David Justice, Deion Sanders comes to mind, right? But Ron Gant, Terry Pendleton, Fred McGriff, my favorite player growing up, and I got a chance to meet him when I was in Atlanta at that event, at that party. And I told him how he became my favorite player as a kid. So that was a great moment. Otis Nixon, another Afro-American player for the Braves over the years. And I'm just giving you guys who were in the 90s playing for the Braves, because the Braves in the 90s, and of course the Braves were the best team in the National League in the 90s, and they had so many Afro-American players who were really good. Brian Jordan, Lonnie Smith. So a lot of them were honored by the Players Alliance over the All-Star week at this party. But Sabathia going to the Hall of Fame this afternoon with, again, Dave Parker, Dick Allen, 3 Afro-American ball players, okay? We don't have a lot of Afro-American players in Major League Baseball right now, okay? And it's been that way for a while. So we have 3 going into the Hall of Fame today, and Billy Wagner, whose son I actually got a chance to interview earlier this season. His son is a Major League ball player with the Toronto Blue Jays, who are right now are about to run away with the division if the Yankees don't turn things around quick, all right? So, folks, I'm going to take a quick musical break. I'm going to be back, and we're going to discuss maybe some guys who are playing currently who have a chance to make the Hall of Fame. And I just told you all, as we hit 12 o'clock here at WHCR 90.3 FM, from the home of the last New York City college basketball champion, okay? Where is that? Look it up if you don't know. A little trivia. So, yeah, Giancarlo Stanton, Big G, he is, I told you all, my favorite Yankee, and I want to see him make the Hall of Fame. He's got a shot. And there are some other guys in this series right here playing against the Yankees who have a shot. Cal Schwarber and Bryce Harper and Aaron Judge, obviously. And I'm going to look at all of their home run totals. And we know 500 home runs is the mark where you hit 500, you're in the Hall of Fame. Only one guy in the history of the major leagues has hit 500 home runs and not been voted to the Hall of Fame. And that's Gary Sheffield. And Gary Sheffield, he was the man, but the reason Gary Sheffield is not in the Hall of Fame is because he had a link to steroids and to Barry Bonds and all that. The steroids issue is very complicated, man. It's very complicated. Very. It ruined baseball. At the time, we didn't know that they were on steroids, so baseball was great. But once it came out that all these guys, well, not all of them, okay, there were plenty of players who were not taking steroids, but a lot of them were on steroids, and a lot of the numbers that we saw in the 90s maybe were a little artificial, and that's a shame because the 90s, that was my childhood right there. I mean, that was baseball. Baseball was, I was die hard about baseball, like die hard in the 90s. But so it's complicated when talking about the Hall of Fame with steroids in the mix. But anyway, Gary Sheffield is the only guy with 500 home runs to not make the Hall of Fame. So Big G, my favorite Yankee, Giancarlo Stanton, he is the current active Major League career home run leader, okay? He's the active career home run leader, all right? No one currently playing right now has more home runs in their career than Giancarlo. So, how many guys can say that? When we talk about the Hall of Fame, how many guys in their career at one point could say, I have more home runs hit all time than anybody playing? I mean, it's not like he's the oldest guy in Major League Baseball, okay? It's not like he's the oldest guy in MLB. All right, the oldest guy in MLB. There are plenty of guys in MLB right now who are older than Big G who do not have more career home runs than Giancarlo Stanton. So it's not just because he is older than a lot of the guys now. At this stage in his career, he's probably 34, 35 now, Giancarlo, something like that. But how many guys ever in their career, in the history of the game, could say they were the active career home run leader? So that is what Giancarlo Stanton is. He has about 437 home runs right now. I think he hit 437 yesterday. I think he surpassed he surpasses somebody like every day. I'm trying to remember who he surpassed in home runs. I know the other day it was Cal Ripken. I think he's tied with Andre Dawson right now, who is in the Hall of Fame. Okay? So should Giancarlo Stanton, all right, I'm going to come back and talk about this, but Big G has, like I said, he gets to 500, he's in there. So I want to see Giancarlo Stanton hit his 500 career home run in a Yankees uniform. As he gets ready to go back to Miami, where the Yankees got him next week, the Yankees play a weekend series in Miami next weekend. Jazz Chisholm, the Yankees got him too from Miami, so it will be his return. He's from the Bahamas, so Miami, Bahamas, Miami is home for him. And guess what date that series begins? August 1st. It's your boy's birthday, August 1st. So maybe I need to make a little Yankee birthday road trip to Miami next weekend. We'll see. But Schwarber, Harper, Judge, Stanton, 500 career home runs. How many of them will reach that? How many of them will go to the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done? That's one topic I like to discuss when I get back. So, folks, we are back in a minute. Hold up. All right, folks, we are back.
The anticipation arose as time froze. I stared off the stage with my eyes closed and dove into the deep cosmos. The impact pushed back the first 5 rows. But before the raw live shows, I remember eyes a little snot nose, rocking gazelle, God goes and eyes I close. Learning the ropes of ghetto survival. Peeping out the situation, I had to slide through. Had to watch my back, my front, plus my size too. When it came to getting mine, I ain't trying to argue. Sometimes I wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for you. Hip hop, you the love of my life, and that's true. When I was handling this, I had to do. It was all for you, from the door for you. Speak through, you're getting paper on tour for you. From the start, thought was down by law for you. Used to hit up every corner store war for you. We ripped this and kept it hardcore for you. I remember late nights, steady rocking the mic. Hip hop, you the love of my life. So tell the people like that, y'all. And it sounds so nice. Hip hop, you the love of my life. We about to take it to the top.
I was speaking to my guy Rican. I see was desperately seeking to organize enough confusion, using no protection, told on resurrection. Called it the Hype Williams and lost her direction. Getting 8 in sections where I wouldn't eat her. Under the counter love, so silently I treat her. Her daddy a beater, eyes off her. In the mix on tape, singing had her in the buck. When we touch, it was more than just a Up the police and I found peace. Like Malcolm in the East. Seen her on the streets of New York. Tricking off, tried to make a hit with her, but my went soft. Moving weight, losing weight. Not picky with who she choose today. Too confused to hate. With I struggle, I relate close to 30. Most of the chickens she know is dirty. Having more babies than Lauren. She started showing early. As of late, I realized that this is her fate or destiny. To bring the best of me. It's like God is testing me. In retrospect, I see she brought life and death to me. Peace to us collectively. Live and direct when we perform. It's just coffee shop chicks and white dudes. Over her, I got into it with that again Ice Cube. Not a fight, move to in life, making the right moves. Besides God and family, you my life's jewel. Like that, y'all. Like that, like that, like that. Hip hop, 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 hip hop.
Presents clean messes like a champ.
How long does it take you to plan?
Ooh la la, ah wee wee. 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 Ooh la la.
Looking for M's like I lost a friend. Jump out of my bed like where the bread. You go hold the egg, waiter bring a check. When we talk, we Kalishnikov. Keep us in your thoughts, fully dressed at the crack of dawn. Letting off, I can hear them from the block. See them creeping through the fog. Season's greetings, graffiti season can start. Oh my God, look alive, looking like I live life on a crooked line. Doing fine, you want maximum stupid, I am the guy.
First of all, law, we is raw, stars, take our car. Oysters on the half tail, switch your bar. Like a and the still raw. I'm a dog, I'm a dirty dog. Ha 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 ha. Oh, dirty bastard, go in your jaw. Shimmy, y'all. Got in the hemi, going gimme, y'all. Pugilistic, my linguistics, RJ Ruler damage, y'all. And I rap it, pornographic, tear that up the camera.
Ooh la la, ah wee wee. 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 Ooh la la, ah wee wee.
Covered disruption, I got you covered, I'm busting. My brother's a runner, he crushing, there's no discussion. I used to be Munchkin, I wasn't supposed to be nothing. Y'all corrupted, I'm up to something disgusting. My pockets are plumper this season, I love to couple. I'm afraid of nothing but nothingness, ain't it something? Warmongers are dumping, a point and click at your pumpkin. Dress up in instructions, so put your kids in the oven.
The king or queen and all of they lost subjects. I pull them out and I throw they shoes in public. People, we the pirates, the pride of this great republic. No matter what you order, we what you stuck with. I used to love Bruce, but living my vida loca. Help me understand, I'm probably more of a joke. When we usher in chaos, just know that we Cannibals on this island, inmates run the asylum.
Ooh la la, ah wee wee. Ooh la la, ah wee wee. Ooh la la, ah wee wee. Ooh la la.
DJ Premier.
Ooh la la. Ooh la la. Ooh la la, ah wee wee. Ooh la 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 ah wee ah wee
I wanna play this for you different than you ever heard before. Grew up in a town that was famous as a place of movie scenes. Noise was always loud. There were sirens all around in the streets of me. I can make it here, I can make it anywhere. That's what they say. See my face in the lights, on my name, my monkeys found down on Broadway. Even if it ain't all it seems, I got a pocket full of dreams, baby. I'm from New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York. These streets will make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you. Here is the New York, New York, New York. On the avenue, there ain't never a curfew. Ladies work so hard. Such a melting pot on the corner selling front. Preachers pray to God. Yeah, the gypsy cab takes me down from Harlem to the Brooklyn Bridge. Someone sleeps at night with a hunger for more than an empty fridge. I'ma make it by any means. I got a pocket full of dreams, baby. I'm from New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York. These streets will make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you. Here is the New York, New York, New York. One hand in the air for the big city. Street lights, big dreams, all look pretty. No place in the world that can compare. Put your lighters in the air, everybody say yeah, 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 yeah. In New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York. These streets will make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you. Now you're in New York. Concrete jungle where dreams are made. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York. These streets will make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you. Here in the New York.
All right, everybody. Samori Benjamin back here, and that right there was the great Alicia Keys. So when I was off the air, before I went off the air, before I went to the musical break, I was talking about the Hall of Fame and the guys who are going in today. One Yankee, one recent Yankee, CC Sabathia, pitcher, and then we have Billy Wagner, and then after Billy Wagner, Dick Allen and Dave Parker. So those four gentlemen are going to be in the hall today. And there are four other guys who I want to talk about, who have a shot to go into the Hall of Fame as well, who are all playing for the teams who are playing today in the Bronx, the Yankees, the Phillies and Yankees. Two on the Yankee side, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. They will have a Hall of Fame case. And then two guys on the Phillies side, Bryce Harper and Cal Schwarber. They'll have a case for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you can be the greatest, you can be the best, you can be the King Kong banging on your chest.
You could beat the world, you could beat the war. You can talk to God, go banging on his door.
You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks.
You could be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you gon' find yourself
Standing in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. And the world's gonna know your name.
Yeah.
Cause you burn with the first flame.
Yeah.
And the world's gonna know your name.
Yeah.
And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. You can go the distance, you can run the mile. You can walk straight through hell with a smile.
You could be the hero, you could get the gold. Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke.
Yeah, do it for your people, do it for your pride. Are you ever gonna know if you never even try?
Do it for your country, do it for your name. Cause there's gonna be a day when you're
Standing in the Hall of Fame.
yeah.
And the world's gonna know your name. Cause you burn with the first flame. And the world's gonna know your name. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be a champion. Be a champion. Be a champion. Be a champion. The walls of the Hall of Fame. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Yeah. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions, be truth seekers. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers, yeah. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions. Standing in the Hall of Fame. And the world's gonna know your name. Cause you burn with the first flame. And the world's gonna know your name. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. You can be the greatest, you can be the best, you can be the King Kong hanging on your chest.
You can be a hero, you can beat the war. You can come a child, go banging on his door.
You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks.
You could be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you'll find yourself.
All right, folks, Samori Benjamin back here with you. All right, sorry about that break, but that Hall of Fame, CC going in today. I just saw a picture of CC with two other recent first ballot New York Yankee Hall of Famers, Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera, who I had the chance to interview in 2007. Yes. The first year I ever... Well, I'm sorry. I don't want to be redundant. The first year I covered Yankee games. If I said the first year I ever covered Yankee games, that would be redundant. I don't need to say ever when I say my first time covering Yankee games, 2007. And, of course, I found my way to Mariano Rivera's locker. It was a memorable experience, obviously. And the thing about him that struck me the most was how humble he was and how nice he was. I'm in the locker room, and there goes Mariano Rivera. And as I was saying last week when Kayla was here, Kayla Abreu, shout out to Kayla, Women's Hoops. And I'm sorry I did not mention Kayla is out today. She's under the weather, so we hope she feels better. And when she returns, we will continue our women's greatest woman basketball player of all time tournament bracket, all right? We began that briefly last week, and we will get back to it when Kayla returns. Hope Kayla feels better. We love you, Kayla. Always a bummer being under the weather. Now, the Hall of Fame, Mariano, as I was telling Kayla last week, when I first started covering this stuff, there were a lot of guys who were older than me, right? There were a lot of guys who I grew up watching. And now it's gotten to the point where I'm older than everybody who I'm covering in sports. So the dynamic is different. So just imagine 2007. It's a little different. It's great, you know, and it continues to just get better and better from that standpoint. To be honest with you, you know, really. And like I'm saying, when I first started covering 2007, all right, I'm in my 20s, and it's like there's Mariano Rivera. He's older than me, and I've been watching Mariano since I was a teenager, watching the Yankees in the playoffs, crying watching them win the first World Series of my lifetime, crying when they lost the year before that against Seattle, the first time I had seen them in the playoffs of my lifetime in '95. So Mariano was there since all that, you know what I'm saying? So now 2007, I'm in a Yankee clubhouse, and there's Mariano Rivera at his locker. His back is turned, and I'm seeing him. Wow, I wanted to do a story on him because he was the last player to wear Jackie Robinson's number 42. So he was still wearing Jackie Robinson's number 42 at that point. And then let me see. And then so I sorry folks. So then I'm getting ready for the show that I have at 1 o'clock at WBI, trying to set that up. But I see Mariano, and I want to do a story about him on Jackie Robinson. And I'm talking to him, and I'm telling him all this stuff. I'm doing my little pitch to him about, you know, I'm trying to get him to agree to let me interview him. Right? And so I'm telling him, giving him this whole spiel, right? You know, and then when I finish, he's like, of course, you know, of course I can interview him and talk to him. And it's funny because that was, that might have been my first time ever in a Yankee clubhouse. And so that was just a magical experience. Right, wow. I'm in a Yankee clubhouse and there's Mariano Rivera. His back is turned, so I'm like, Mariano, I'm thinking Mariano has all kinds of different things that he's got to do. And, why would he have time to talk to me? And so I tell him all this, okay? I want Jackie Robinson, boom, 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 boom. He's like, of course. So cool dude, man. And I interviewed him again before his career ended in the Yankee clubhouse. Another memorable experience, a one-on-one interview. He gave me his time. And a lot of you would be surprised, I guess, about how willing most of these players are to talk to you and be interviewed by you. Really, I would say a lot of you all would be surprised at how willing most of them are, because I try and interview as many of them as I can when I'm at the ballpark now, because I've gotten a lot of feedback from people that they like interviews with these athletes. So I try and do as many of them as I can on video. And like I said, for a long time, I did everything just radio, audio based. But it's cool to be able to get these guys on video and really do one-on-ones. And so when I do them, a lot of people, they're surprised how willing a lot of these guys are to talk. So that's why I say that a lot of you out there would be surprised how willing a lot of these guys are to talk, and a lot of them like to talk about themselves, and you just go prepared and give them a reason to take you serious, and it can be a great time, a great conversation. So, yeah, in 2007, when I first started covering this stuff, and I see Mariano, I'm like, yo, there's the great Mariano. He probably won't even have time to talk, and then I give him the spiel, and then he's like, I give him the spiel, and then he's like, of course. And Derek Jeter is in the Hall of Fame, first ballot. So Jeter, another guy who I grew up watching. He came into the Yankees when I was a teenager. He was a young player. And yeah, so there are a lot of guys who are older than me. I mean, all these Yankee greats, right? Andy Pettit, and Ken Griffey Jr. I spoke about how in 2007, when my first year covering games was 2006, but that was the Mets. The Yankees, my first year getting Yankee credentials was 2007. And I also interviewed Ken Griffey Jr. in 2007. I mean, this is somebody who I grew up watching, right? And so now I'm interviewing him. So, like, the dynamic from that standpoint is a lot different than what you have now. Now I'm older than all the guys. Back then it's like guys older than me and guys who I grew up watching. Like, wow, Barry Bonds, I mentioned, was still playing. I didn't get a chance to really be around Barry Bonds or meet Barry Bonds when he was playing, but I had the fortune of meeting him 9 years after he retired in 2016. He was the Miami Marlins hitting coach, and he was the hitting coach for the Marlins for the whole year. So at that time, every team in the Mets division came to Citi Field 3 times during the season. So one of those times, I made sure that I met Barry Bonds, and I spoke with him. I got photos. My man Gemini Keys was around. He's a great photographer. He got some photos of me talking to Barry Bonds. Classic stuff. Come on. How many folks have photos talking to Barry Bonds on the field? Barry Bonds in uniform. Yeah, he was the hitting coach for the Marlins for one whole year. Don Mattingly was the manager of that team. And Barry was cool to me. It's funny because a lot of people have had issues with Barry Bonds' personality and all that. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people call him a jerk or what have you, yada, yada, yada. And he, was very rough, could be very rough with the media, right, over the years. So a lot of people in the media have some nasty stories to tell about Barry Bonds. And it's funny because he had a teammate who he played with as young players in Pittsburgh, Bobby Bonilla. And Bobby Bonilla, Barry and Bobby both were with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They made the National League Championship Series twice together in Pittsburgh. And both of them had issues with the media. All right. And Bobby Bonilla with the Mets, I mean, he had a couple of incidents with the Mets that you can go on YouTube right now and look and find where he got into some nasty altercations with a couple of different reporters, one white, one black. All right. There was the one with the black one, Art McFarland, former, I believe Art McFarland was the guy's name. I could be wrong. But he was a sportscaster for one of the local news stations in the 90s, and I didn't even really remember this one because there's one that is well known with Bob Clappish that Bobby Bonilla got into it with in the Mets clubhouse in the 90s, and Bobby told Bob Clappish, I'll show you the Bronx because Bobby Bonilla is from the Bronx, and he ended up playing for the Pittsburghs. Then he got with the Mets, and he got into it with Bob Clappish, a baseball writer who still covers baseball games now at Citi Field, at Yankee Stadium. I see him all the time. And Bobby said, I'll show you the Bronx. It was a very nasty incident, right? I mean, just ugly. I mean, type of stuff you really don't see anymore, because now it's just everything is so magnetized now, and everything is under a microscope now, so the Bob Clappish one with this white baseball writer, very well known. But then there was one I saw on YouTube 2 weeks ago where Bobby got into it with a black sportscaster, TV sportscaster for one of the local news when he was with the Mets in the Mets clubhouse, and it got real kind of contentious. I mean, and Bobby, and this is an older gentleman, and Bobby, looked like he was about to just smack him. I mean, Bobby's smarter than that, but he was coming off that menacing to the guy. I was like, man. But Bobby Bonilla, he's somebody who I had to, I bring him up because I see him at the All-Star game now. The last couple of years, I've seen him at the All-Star game, All-Star festivities. He's around. He's around for the All-Star festivities. Not just the game, but stuff leading up to it. And he's somebody who I spoke to briefly last year, and then I saw him this year. He's somebody I talk about, interviews, Barry Bonds, Bobby, both of them had issues with the media. And I want to interview Bobby Bonilla too. The thing about Bobby Bonilla had a really interesting career because Bobby Bonilla is somebody who, again, he's from the Bronx, and he was kind of overlooked young, out of high school and college. He did not have an easy road to the major leagues. He kind of got it out the mud, as they say, and he ended up making it to Pittsburgh and playing outstanding. Switch hitter, helped Pittsburgh along with Barry Bonds make the National League Championship Series in '91, and then he left to go to the Mets. I mean, he was the MVP candidate himself. And Barry Bonds was one of the MVPs for the Pirates. He won at least 2 with the Pirates. Might have been 3. Let me see. But Bobby Bonilla was right there next to him, beasting as well, making the All-Star team every year. Bobby Bo and Barry Bonds, Bobby and Barry. And after the 91 season, yes, Bobby left to go to the Mets. It did not work out. And so Bobby has even though he's from New York, from the Bronx, when he went to the Mets, things did not work out. And I mentioned the 2 ugly incidents he had with the reporters. And the Mets were a team that spent a lot of money on not just him, but other guys, Vince Coleman, Brett Saberhagen. They were supposed to be a really good team. And they ended up being, a book was written about them, the worst team money could buy. And that might have been written by Bob Klappich, now that I think about it. All right? And Barry Bonds won 3 MVPs in Pittsburgh. No, 2. 90 and 92, right. And but Bobby Bonilla, did not work out with the Mets. And then he got traded to Baltimore. Then he got traded. Then he ended up with the Florida Marlins in '97, won a championship, won a World Series with the Marlins. So he had the championship ring. Then he ended up coming back to the Mets. And when the Mets got rid of him the second time, they owed him some money on his contract, and they ended up making a deal with him where they deferred it to where, all right, a few years ago, he ended up getting, about 2010 or so, he ended up getting paid like $1 million for like 25 years, something crazy like that. So like every July 1st, Bobby Bonilla gets like $1 million from the Mets organization for several years. And it's looked at as the greatest deal anybody has ever gotten, or at least anybody in his generation has gotten, right? Because the Mets are still paying him $1 million every year, right? Because of a deferment they made with him in like 99 or something like that, right? So, but a New Yorker, Bobby Bonilla is, and like I said, the last 2 years, I've definitely seen him. Last year, I saw him, and I was like, hey, I told him I knew who he was and all that, and that was great. I wanted to interview him, and then he kind of, it was cool, but somebody that he knew came around, I think, and he ended up, talking to him, so I wasn't able to ask him for an interview, and I saw him this year again. It was funny because right before I saw him, I saw the YouTube clip with him about to knock out this older Afro-American sportscaster in the 90s when he's with the Mets. So I was like, I wonder how he feels about the media now. I wonder if I ask him for an interview, how he'll feel about that. So when I saw him this year, I saw him pretty much the same place I saw him last year, which was like behind the batting cage and all that, before the Futures game, before like during the batting practice, one of the 2 days with the All-Stars. And then I saw him in the clubhouse. I saw him a few times in Atlanta this past All-Star week. And then I saw him after I left the clubhouse, one of the times I saw him, he was walking with Tony Clark, the president of the executive director of the Major League Baseball Players Union, another former player, 2 switch hitters. So they were walking together, and I walked past him, and I saw Bobby Bo, and I said, Bobby Bo. And he said, hey, young man. Something like that. Something, young man. And hey. And if the time was right, I would have asked him right there if I could interview him. But definitely, when I see him next year, I'm going to ask Bobby Bo if I could interview him. That would be a good interview. But back to Barry Bonds. I wanted to interview Barry Bonds in 2016 when I met him, right? And this is before I was doing interviews on video. I just started doing the video interviews like 2 years ago, but so I wanted to interview Barry, and so I told him I was doing a project about the decline of the Afro-American ball player. And Barry was very nice, and we were talking for a few minutes, talking about baseball. I don't even remember what we were talking about anymore. Probably talking about the decline of the Afro-American ball player, I guess, even though I wanted to interview him on the subject. And so we probably were talking about that, but even though I told him I wanted to interview him, the interview never actually happened. I was just talking with him. So I told him, and he was like, yeah, okay. And so it's kind of like he wasn't saying no, but he was kind of saying, like, we'll do it at some point. And I wanted to do it right there, you know what I'm saying? Which is why I was saying that. But it didn't happen. I was talking to him, though, you know what I'm saying? He was real cool, but he never really actually gave the green light to do it then. But that was cool, though, talking to him, meeting him. And my boy had the photo of him and I talking. A photo that, it's a sleeper photo, because sometimes I don't even think about it, but that's an all-time photo with Barry, and Barry's in uniform with the Miami Marlins hitting coach. People forget that he was the hitting coach. People forget that Barry Bonds was back in uniform since he finished playing in 2007, because we all look at it like Barry Bonds was exiled from the game after he retired in 2007 when he still had ability, but because of the whole steroids thing and all that, no one wanted to give him, no one wanted to be bothered with him, and then he had the reputation of not being the easiest guy to get along with. So Barry, after 2007, even though he still had ability and he still put the fear of God in opposing managers and pitchers, no one picked him up. And I've heard, there's a guy I know who's been covering baseball, major leagues for a while. He, a Puerto Rican brother who's the teacher at Cardinal Hayes. And we're real cool. Danny, every time we see each other, it's always love, and we try and help each other out whenever we can. And he had some stories for me about Barry. Like one story where he says he met Barry, and Barry was like very nasty to him. And I think this is when Barry was playing still, I think. Yeah. So it's funny every time I see him, he brings that up, and he talks about how bad Barry was to him. But I got to say, my experience with Barry was pleasant. 2016. So anyway, folks, I am going to be doing a show at WBAI from 1 to 2. That's what it is now. So it's this show from 11 until 1 o'clock, and then WBAI. So I'm going to get ready for that show right now, folks, okay? So I will be back with you all again next week, okay? Thank you all for listening. I love you all. And the Yankees need a win today. Mets play tonight in San Francisco against the San Francisco Giants. The Mets are going for a sweep, and the Yankees are trying not to be swept, all right? So, folks, Samori Benjamin signing off. Adios. Amigos.
That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's the night.
What? Hip hop, to the top, hip hop, check it out, it's like that, and it sounds so hot. Hip hop, you the love of my life. I'm about to take it to the, check it out, yeah, wow, and it sounds so nice. Hip hop, you the love of my life. I'm about to take you to the top, wow. Hip hop, to the top, hip hop, check it out, it's like, and it sounds so nice. Hip hop, you the love of my life, The anticipation arose as time froze. I stared off the stage with my eyes closed and dove into the deep cosmos. The impact pushed back the first 5 rows. But before the raw live shows, I remember eyes a low, snot nose, rockin' gazelle, goggles and eyes I closed. Learning the ropes of ghetto survival. Peeping out the situation, I had to slide through. Had to better watch my back, my front, plus my size too. When it came to getting mine, I ain't trying to argue. Sometimes I wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for you. Hip hop, you the love of my life, and that's true. When I was handling this, I had to do. It was all for you, from the door for you. Speaking through, you're getting paper on tour for you. From the start, thought was down by law for you. Used to hit up every corner store war for you. We ripped this and kept it hardcore for you. I remember late nights, steady rocking the mic. Hip hop, you the love of my life. So tell the people like that, y'all. And it sounds so nice. Hip hop, you the love of my life. We about to take it to the top.
I was speaking to my guy Rican. I see was desperately seeking to organize enough confusion, using no protection. Told on resurrection. Caught it to Hype Williams and lost her direction. Getting 8 in sections where I wouldn't eat her. Under the counter love, so silently I treat her. Her daddy a beat her. Eyes off her. In the mix on tape, singing had her in the buck. When we touch, it was more than just the police in her. I found peace, like Malcolm in the East. Seen her on the streets of New York. Tricking off, tried to make a hit with her, but my went soft. Moving weight, losing weight. Not picky with who she choose today. Too confused to hate. With her struggle, I relate close to 30. Most of the chickens she know is dirty, having more babies than Lauren. She started showing early. As of late, I realized that this is her fate or destiny to bring the best of me. It's like God is testing me. In retrospect, I see she brought life and death to me. Peace to us collectively. Live and direct when we perform. It's just coffee shop chicks and